Cali, right? Cali, right? Every state is a country, and every country has to California is the head government. 48. Right. That means no constitution is legitimate. California has been a slave state. Melanated elegant. What they call it now, a police state. For the last almost 100 plus years. And this is the thing when a lot of people, like, there's a book called The Great Sirach. And it talks about, that's one of the main books we had to read growing up out here, because it talks about the navigation, or we could say the migration from people coming from Oklahoma and coming from past the Mississippi over here to California. Like when my mom came out here in 1969, you know how many people she knew? I mean, we didn't even know that she had all this family that was here since California. You know what I'm saying? That came up over here and left Oklahoma, and some left Texas. You know what I'm saying? And that was pretty much our main two states that where we was at. So that's the thing. So this place has always been a slave state. And this is why they was running people over here, and so that way they can get control over here. Now, at that point in time, when you deal with Title 25 USC, we're dealing with the Indian codes, which has some relation. I know a lot of people don't like to use those codes, but the bottom line is that it has codes in there that talk about people that's west of the Mississippi are to be protected.
Right, because they was never supposed to cross the Appalachians to begin with.
Exactly.
It was the Lewis and Clark expeditions that crossed them over into the West. It was the Mexico-American War that gave them control of California down to Texas. Right? Notice there was a war. The land that they held in treaty is the result of the resolution of a war. All this stuff is to disassociate the people from the land. If we reclaim the land back, all of them, we was in a warlock. This is what put us in poverty.
You know, she's right. Warlock, and they chasing us still.
The brother's trying to say something.
They're not going to stop until they get off the planet. That's it. They want us to fall off that cliff. They ain't going to stop. I'm telling you, what's going on in California, and like Rare Bird said it, the bottom line is they still taking people's land through these fraudulent court cases and things like that, and they do them big time out here in California. You see what I'm saying? And that's what he's saying.
Anton, real quickly. No, wait, Freedom, wait, I had a question a while ago, and I'll look it up, brother. Just one second.
I apologize.
No, it's all good. It's no
It's the accent for me.
So, you know, I know another way that a lot of families have their plans to is profit.
Aboriginal mermaid say that ain't how Aboriginal mermaid bad for real. Say, you fellas, who that motherfucker fine for real? No cut on the dope, no baking soda, no fentanyl in the dope. Motherfucker fine for real.
Anymore. And so I know you guys know what that is, and I would love to, but there may be some people in the chat who is not familiar, right? So, someone, if you can, explain what is property law is and how people can start.
Well, melanated. I thought you had a different name.
You can the legitimacy of the court or in a court of law.
Well, I'm gonna give that to Rod. But what I'm gonna say is,
I asked him that already in the beginning.
Oh, okay. I just jumped on. Okay, heirs property is different between heirs property, and there's a difference between you being a descendant of somebody that land is owed to you. Heirs property is when they put you in another tax bracket. It's like them putting you on the county property tax roll. So the bottom line is, this is how they get you on a tax issue. Because everything is, when they get you on a tax issue, that's when you under the federal government, and now they can come in and impose themselves. And then if you got a greedy relative, because I know a lot of people that actually went through this. I mean, I'm in California, but we only people, and there's a few of us in California, we all in the South. And the bottom line is, we had them stories, coming from my mama, you know what I'm saying? She told me all the stories where people was actually selling the land without talking to anybody else. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, hold on. Got babies running around here.
Now that did happen.
One of the most important cases to it to come through the Cherokee. I heard y'all speaking about the Cherokee earlier. The Cherokee I'm speaking about is when they unified all of the divisions and created the Cherokee government in 1794. Y'all can Google that, Cherokee government 1794 to 1907. But one of the famous cases is the Marshall Trilogy, where the McIntosh family bought land from the federal government, but the Indians claimed the land. The people that were there saying they got the land from the Indians. Well, that became a problem in the United States wanted to establish their dominance. This was one of the first times this happened, and say that the land is no longer in Indian occupancy because of the Indian Removal Act. And so they granted the McIntosh family their land. And we know the McIntosh family were prevalent in the Creek Indians, as William McIntosh is the one who's gonna end up signing the treaty that ceded 23 million acres of land. He was murdered for that. But that Marshall Trilogy is one of the first that ended up establishing their Indian laws based on the United States taking land from the indigenous, not respecting the indigenous after they go into statehood.
Right.
So yeah, so when you get back, so basically that's one of the key things right there, because when you're dealing with heirs property, and I can relate it to the present time, right? Like you deal with a situation where somebody, you know, has a home,
they're not. They settled on the state lines.
But when people own them, or if a community
Mama is back in charge, it's about making sure everybody got food, clothing, and shelter.
right,
It ain't got nothing to do with I'm gonna bully you off the land because I don't think you're supposed to be here. It's about the return of the resources back to the people from a government that sucked all of the people's resources out. It's the crystal globe. We looking at have and have nots in the New World Order. We chose not to be the have nots, so we took it all. By blood and by right. We were born with the right to restore the balance back to the people and the land. And all we gotta do is put Big Mama back on her feet and go about our business. Everything will fall in place according to the laws of nature.
And that's the thing, though, because in those scenarios, a lot of your time.
I'm gonna let that man in the middle talk, so I don't know his name to talk.
Real quick, but real quick, because we flow. The thing is, though, Dulcinea, when you talk about allodial title, if you look up definition of allodial title, you're talking about. Appreciate that. Where you from? Where you from? And how long have you been doing this work? Okay, I've been consistently at it since 2018. 2019, was observing our people. Nobody was making any moves after they declared the contract closed. Everything was over with, but we only had 7 days to respond. And so the contract expired July the 4th. The contract is called the constitutional contract. The Constitution is not the governing body, the governing rules of the land. The Constitution is the contract. And
you're new to streaming and you want to level up your game, StreamYard has $10 discount on new accounts. StreamYard. Listen to the legendary Top Cat and Big Chief Pontiac, my bad, Pontiac. Rod Hayes, baby. Our self, American Ninja.
And then one person is responsible for paying the debt in the contract. Right? So
I've been doing this work, but in 2019, on July the 6th, I issued the chief's orders on behalf of all of the chiefs across the land that the imposters would be evicted and their contracts would be closed due to something called non-performance. What that means is all of the treaties, I couldn't find one where they upheld anything that they agreed to in the treaty. Also, I discovered that in researching the treaties, that they declared people chiefs and gave them names of clan members and used text terms to mix tribes with $5 Indians so that they can have a slave contract on our behalf without our knowledge. So most of the treaties that were signed was between the invaders and the slaves they brought on the behalf of the people that was already here. George Washington challenged this to say that in 200 years, feathers versus feathers, if they take their feathers off and they take their feathers off, and in 200 years of harsh treatment and miseducation, none of us would never be able to figure out who we was or what part of the land we, or what part of the water, from what part of the Atlantic Ocean we came from. So when I expressed the fact that they look like us, but they ain't us, they came over as conquistadors with Columbus and Astor. And once they got over here, they set up the 32-degree Scottish Rite Freemasons under Albert Pike in order to usurp the people of the land and declare that some people called Jews was actually the rightful heirs to the land, but they ain't real Hebrews, they Jews. Jews is short for jewelry, and they use that term because they was literally making jewelry out of representations of these people that we speak of. Noble Jew Ali in 1900s, early 1900s, discovered that they was using science and secrecy of the Cold War to tackle us. So he put all of the secrets to the society in the public domain. And if it's in the public domain, then it's the responsibility of the team to find all of the pieces and pass them to the team to put the next piece, to put the pieces together.
Yeah, I come from
so, and this has been the journey since 2018 to now. Now we're coming up on what's called the grand finale.
I see that picture, man. I love it.
So I'm reaching out to all the chiefs across the land. Any one of them that's willing to have a conversation with me, I'm willing to have a conversation with them. And I'm not friendly to dirty Moors, but I'm very beholding to what we call the righteous Moors. We know the difference, but they don't know that we know the difference.
Okay, that's real, you know, because when I had first and somebody was like, hey, man, you got to check out this guy, Ryan Hayes. And then they told me, you might not like him because he's a Moor. And then I heard the video, and when you opened up, you said, fuck the Moors. And I said, oh.
No, I'm not a Moor. I just was revealing the dirt that was done. I had to identify the dirty Moors and separate them from the righteous Moors, the feathers versus the feathers. I had to be able to tell the people what the difference was. That means I had to get a good Moorish education. But I'm not no Moor.
Right. So I'm
a motherfucking feather wearing, moccasin wearing, dancing around the fire.
Yeah, we love that over here. What you think about the American Indian paradigm and how we've been taking to Africa all these years? What you got to say about that, OG?
That's all part of the deception to keep us ignorant and enslaved. As long as we don't know what's going on, we can't defend ourselves. It's like the invisible man in the room slapping the shit out of all of us. And what we start doing, we start fighting each other because we can't see that motherfucker. Now, one of us come along that can see them. They lied to us. They put motherfuckers in place of us. They declared that we was them and they was us. and then they used catch terms for the ones who they wasn't really sure to get stuck at. So they labeled us Moors, they labeled us Cherokee, Negroes, Blacks, and colored folks. That shit ain't us. Cherokee was the term for the admixture of $5 Indians with the original indigenous organic people from the land in the Trail of Tears when they were switching us out. They was exchanging us for $5 Indians, replacing us. And so I'm coming to tell y'all, we ain't sleep, we ain't dead, we ain't gone. We ain't never left this motherfucker, we ain't never leaving this motherfucker unless we do it as a concerted effort, as a collective group. As Tupac say, we ain't never gonna walk off this motherfucker. We ain't never gonna leave this bitch unless y'all choose to. All we gotta do now is use our brain.
Use your brain. It ain't them that's killing us, it's us that's killing us.
But it ain't us, it's motherfuckers that look like us.
Okay.
Turning us against each other, tricking us.
You know some more game that I heard you give too, and you probably one of the only OGs who I ever heard bring this part to the game, where you said that the people that actually came to colonize America was actually black people from Europe.
And so those people is known as free white persons in law.
Looking at the picture,
we talked about white privilege. We thought we were talking about the pale-skinned Europeans that came over here. But white privilege is for the white nobility. They took the term white in law because that's the term in set for the attackers, and they described us dead as black in law.
I also heard talk about the pilgrims. The pilgrims that came over. These were actually black people that came over. The pilgrims on the Mayflower.
Yeah, look, when they came over as Dutch, Portuguese, French, and Englishmen, they were melanated people. They looked like us. But in the history books, they painted their face to be pale in the book to deceive us so that they can say they us and replace us. That was a trick. That trick no good.
Right on. That's something that we teach over here as well. Bringing out that aspect of the people that actually who colonized us. Started with from the colonists with Jamestown, with King James of the Bible, and coming in 1619 and 1611, 1619 place. But I also want to ask you, what you think about this in recent about this Kyrie and Kanye situation? I know you got the hashtag Ye was right. Build on that. What's going on with Kanye and Kyrie right now?
They dragging out the same motherfuckers we're talking about. If you go back and listen, Kanye and Farrakhan and Trump, all of them said they live in gated communities and we know where they at. All three of them said it at different times. He's talking about the ones that call themselves Moorish Zionist Jews, but they just call themselves Zionist Jews for short. These is the ones who was holding the charter. The charter was originally issued by the Crown of England on behalf of the Pope. It was a trilateral attack on the people of the land. They was attacking us spiritually, they was attacking us physically and economically. The so-called Ashkenazi or Khazarians, I don't really want to take too much of it. The people that they talking about was giving grants to set up shop all over the world. Anywhere they wanted to go, they was granted money by the black nobility. The black nobility and conquistadors means Tudors conquest. The conquest of the Tudors was it was all blackamoors. Christopher Columbus was a so-called his real name was Cristo Colon. His navigator was Pietro del Negro. He was a blackamoor. Pietro del Negro translates as Peter the Nigger or Peter the Black. They try to tell us that we're Moors and that this is Northwest Africa as if we don't know how to read a fucking map. Because Northwest Africa is Tunisia and Algeria. And this is where they was exiled when they was kicked out of Europe. This is the first, and they went to Europe as a Trotskyists. They set up Rome, but they first usurped Greece. Greece was set up by the Egyptian priests. These were called Carthaginian priests. They became known as the Trotskyists, and now they call them Tuscans, and this is Italy, right? So they got kicked out of Europe, went to Algeria, and while they was there, they plotted to come over here as a group, pretend to be us, and then after they get there killing off all of our leadership and putting their people in front of us as a leader, that's been leading us to hell the whole time, that we was going to go along and get along and what none of us can say nothing. Well, Kanye saying something. Kyrie saying something. The minister Ben told you these satanic Jews is the last obstacle. Us as the people, at some point, somewhere, the sensibility of the brain to understand from the chief what's taking place on the land is to rally up behind to this motherfucker wasting the war. Kanye told y'all, Pac told him years ago, don't go to war till you get your money right. He told y'all he going to war. Then he called out, he told the people he needed to get out the way, shut the fuck up, get out the way. And he was talking to Meek Mill, Jay-Z, and Puffy. Because if they get in the way, we don't want to bring down all of the motherfuckers at the same time if our people don't support us. So we have to sit us in one at a time in front of the people to see what we up against, who we face with, and how to get the people to see what's taking place on the land. We taking our shit back. That's what's going on with Kyrie. That's what's going on with what's my man that took the knee? Kaepernick, right? That's what's going on with that shit. We on the motherfucking war path right now. The chief is, but we can't go to war until the people understand what we're fighting about, who we fighting, and that we know who the enemy is. What you think it'll take, to get everybody to tap in? What would be a good solution that we can bring together? Because it's never been really done before. So what you think? The easiest thing for us to do right now is to blow social media up, showing support for Kanye and Kyrie. Because what that does is fucks with their algorithm. They trying to economically attack Kanye. We supporting just for the hashtag, and we hit them in the pocketbook. Ain't none of that marching shit. We ain't these motherfuckers go along to get along, march with a picture sign, we shall overcome ass. That's the last generation. This generation that's going to be the elders now, we on some different shit. Motherfucker, we coming to get every fucking thing they owe us back. They gave it to us. Our people just don't know. So we out here right now doing everything we can to create compelling spectacle.
You can get
From 1987 to 2025, Tide is no stranger to sin. It's got to be Tide. Now boosted.
Discount.
Chevy trucks are as dependable as the Chevy people who drive them. They don't need permission to get going. They all have that little extra something. And maybe you got it.
Spectacle, radical move after radical move, until y'all realize we're doing this shit concertedly as a unit. But we can't move faster than the awareness of the people from the land.
So we have to bring them up to the awareness level of this war that we fight. It's a protracted struggle. It's not a shock and awe warfare where you drop bombs and bullets all day long. That's not that kind of war. This is a protracted struggle that went into a conjuring war in order to stop the bloodshed on the land, because the matriarchs across the land told us to make some kind of agreement to stop the bloodshed on the land because it's interfering with the psychic ability of the elder women. So they had to, we as the chiefs had to come to a solution, and they challenged us to a conjure war. Feathers versus feathers. And the whole thing is, only one of us needed to discover it. Once one of us discovered it, then it's a responsibility to go on a campaign of the information, giving out free knowledge, putting the puzzle together in the face of the people. So no matter what you think about me, I'm replaceable. But the knowledge that I'm giving you is not replaceable. This is telling you how to be free. Now it's up to us to determine, do we want to be free or do we want to leave Master in place? Fuck Master. I cut his goddamn throat myself if they didn't tell me we was brain banging.
Turn up.
It's a knowledge game at this
We're
point.
on Indian time.
Each one teach one. We all gonna reach something.
What happened to Indian territory? OG, you said something that caught my attention too. You said it's gonna be the people of the land that's gonna have to come up, that's gonna have to rise up to this. What part do that play for the people to know that we've been lied to, and that most melanated people here in America are actually from America and didn't come here on slave ships? We've been here. We've been here. So look, this is why it's important that the chiefs don't move without informing the people. Every time we tried to rise up before, it was a motherfucker look like us tore us down. So before we go into the physical cleansing of the land, we need the people of the land to resync with Earth. Earth tells you where you need to be. If you sink, if you ground, Earth tells you where you need to be. So all you gotta do, let them sisters go out there and walk barefoot, put their motherfucking hands and knees on the earth. Why should they start getting this information in? They won't need us to tell them shit. They're gonna know what moves to make. The signature, the energy signature that's tied to our women is tied to directly to the earth. That's why the 5% nation call it guides and earth. Barz. Hey, I want to do this right here. You got a cash app or something, OG? Yeah, before I give you my cash app, I need to make it. When you restricted from being who you are, right, for the benefit of some other gain, you sold yourself, in essence. Be you. Do what you've been doing. If you call them motherfuckers out, tell me who we calling out next. That's all. Yeah. Right on. And listening to people like you, man, it make me say, oh, see, because right now, man, I don't even think you have like a platform or nothing, huh? I don't think you have like a YouTube channel or nothing like that. Is it somewhere we can find you as a people can? I got a Instagram is where I been doing most of my life. You're 6'8".
All right, bet. All right. Hey, a lot of people been hitting me up. Like, hey, man, asking this, asking that. A lot of people was really happy about you coming. So we do want to support the homie for coming through and giving us his time. Hit that like with war, but it's not a war of bullets. It's to this land if you ain't from here. But what they're not telling you is that the Bible is coded by Scottish Rite Freemasons. And the purpose of the code is to identify the invader and invaded without the people knowing. History has to be told in a manner to make the conquered non-resistant over time to being conquered. But we wasn't never conquered. We fought to a truce.
the truce or the ceasefire that they never honored. We honored it, they didn't honor it. So the ceasefire brought about the 200-year challenge of George Washington in the battle between Southerners and Feds, between Blackamoors and the organic people of the land. So the doctrine of white supremacy is a political application of the conjure. It's voodoo. Being used on in your face, behind your back, wide open in the public.
Yeah, when you talk about, as far as the Indians fight to a truce, all the way up until the 1866 treaty they had to give them when they closed out the Civil War. I heard you bring up Pike earlier, when he went and got the contract with the 5 civilized tribes, and they actually came back and waged war on the quote-unquote Black Indians, on the indigenous people. We actually ended up winning that battle. They went to the USCTs, fought for the United States colored troops, and won. How they got the 1866 treaty. I wanted to ask you this right here too. Far as are you into cowboys? Did you have any family members that were like cowboys or cowboy coaches? You be tapping into that and how they attach to us.
We was over here horse whispering, wrangling wild Mustangs, while them motherfuckers was trying to teach Europeans how to wipe their ass. We was already, all of that Western shit, they used the Western movies to tell the story like the Lone Ranger was Bass Reeves. How did he turn out to be a pale man with a mask on? See, so Buffalo Bill wasn't no pale-skinned European, but they paint him that way, right. And they got an actor that they used to play the part of Buffalo Bill, because he wasn't the one that they be showing us all the time.
Right.
Right? They telling us all of these stories, but they're covering up and using them to whitewash history, bleach it out. Because we left an indelible stain that they trying to remove. They can't remove it because the culture of the earth can't survive without the people that we are being here. So they want to control us. The rule of the universe, the law of use is what it's called, is if you don't use your willpower, then it's left unused. Anybody who know how to use it can constructively use it to accomplish his agenda. So by the system getting you to follow the system, they getting you to surrender your power of personal self to the government. And then in the government tell you in the law work that the government can compel you to give up your will to the government.
That's wild. All right. I wanted to ask you this here too. Out of America and how America being ancient in the old world, is there any like particular area in America that's like that we should know about? That's like ancient, history about this place.
There's certain facts that we need, because they say there was no royalty over here, but we have castles that been here all over the land. We left the castles on the land to fight the Gullah Wars. When our ancestors and elders tell the story about the Florida Wars, they call them the Gullah Wars, the Gullah Geechee Wars, and the Getty Geechee Wars. When the invader tells the story, he says that's the Seminole War. He's calling you a Semite. He's saying you are a mixed group. That's true. They called us that because tribes came from as far away as the Polynesian Islands in the Southwest and as far away as the Inuit in Alaska to come into Florida to fight these motherfuckers. When they said that the slaves was running away from the plantation, that's bullshit.
when you understand from the Gullah War angle, we was coming across the land, going to fight the war from in a sweeping manner. And we was all coming because all hands on deck was called by the chiefs on the Wind Talker channel. The Wind Talker channel is the psychic network that all of the chiefs inherently developed by being amongst their people. It's a heart connection for the love of the people that tells them where to move. And then we have the call of the matriarch, which is Mother Earth send a signal out, and the women of the earth respond to the signal, and they know where to send us at. Because Big Mama send the energy to the earth, which is Prime Creator, to instruct us how to move. So when they came in, they tried to usurp our connection with nature so we can communicate without being face-to-face or over a telephone. We always knew how to communicate as a people. Study the Mississippian culture. This is our ancient history. Mississippi Basin used to be the Congo of the U.S. That's our Congo Basin, the Mississippi. In South America, the Amazon River holds the Congo Basin of South America. There's a Congo, or a geographical X marks the spot location where the chief that's responsible for uniting the tribes comes from, and it's always from the Congo. That's why they named King Kong, because he's the king of the Congo. So when you rise to most loved, most respected across your family, they present you to the other tribes, and you don't even know you're being presented. But the other tribes give you the same love and respect as your family. That's how you move up in rank in our community. We don't do no motherfucking artificial selection process that they call voting that never really mattered because they was going to put who they wanted there anyway in the first goddamn place.
In a real way, I wanted to ask you this here. Speaking about the Mississippian culture and the mound building down there. What's the connection and the importance to the mound?
The Mississippians is
Get him, guys. Get him, guys. Hey, everybody, y'all jump on that like button. Make sure y'all share the video while I let everybody know we got the OG right here, man. Building on this indigenous.
Okay, so the Mississippians is one of the oldest tribes on the land, and the Amaru is the oldest tribe in South America, and together they form alliances with multiple different tribes to form the Dumdamounja, which was the mound builders. We used to make pilgrimages like Mecca to the great temple of Quetzalcoatl, and we did it every 50 years for the Jubilee. Now we don't go down there. This is why they keep trying to build a wall at the Mexican border. When California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Nevada and Texas was annexed from Mexico by the same motherfuckers we talking about now. When they came over here. So when they went to war, they put Mexico all the way back. That was called the buffer zone. When you're in a war, you sign a treaty. So you look at the Mexican-American Treaty, when they annexed that land, they wasn't supposed to colonize it. They wasn't supposed to displace the people. The Mexican military wasn't supposed to cross those lines of demarcation that was to keep their military from advancing in on the colonists. But once they annexed it as a protectorate and a no-fly zone for Mexican military, they just said, fuck it, if they can't bring no military, we might as well colonize that shit. So the mound building culture is all over the Americas. And when Big Mama born on a different part, so Big Mama is going to become the grand matriarch on the land, right? Because when the most matriarch loved and respected. The most women. Whoever gave the greatest impact worldwide at this point, because we got back to a global community now. So her influence, in order to be the grand matriarch in the Americas, she has to go around the world and get the approval, the love, and the respect of other matriarchs from around the world in order for us to raise the matriarch. And this is how you find them. And most of us chiefs don't remember how to find the grand matriarch to raise the matriarchy back at the close of every age. So only certain ones is tasked with putting certain stuff together. My task is I'm the dude in the barn that cleaned up the horse shit after everybody get done packing them full of food and leaving them stuck in their stalls. I'm the shit cleaner. I'm the cleanup man. Last resort. The nigga don't nobody want to call because they can't control this nigga. He's incorrigible.
Turn up.
He'll always take the side of the motherfuckers at the bottom.
The people.
No matter who's on top. You know, that kind of shit. They don't like for me to be in this position. So I'm a last resort situation for them to call me.
All right, let me ask you this right here. So we know about this, the Mayans coming over to the Americas and populating a lot of these southeastern coasts coming up through the Carolinas. You know that Miami and a lot of these towns down there are named after Mayan towns, and that they 80% of the TD language comes out of the Muskogee language, come out the Mayan language. Can you talk to us about that connection right there? And are we the Mayans?
Look, that's all our shit. All this our shit. This our culture. When you look at it, you identify with it, but you say, I don't know why I identify with that shit. I don't speak Spanish.
Right.
They got nothing to do with Spanish. Them was the invaders, the Spaniards. Right? And the Spaniards were Tawny Moors. They was mulatto Moors. And the conquistadors was the Blacker Moors. They was the real power behind the advancing hordes that was coming over here. Right? They don't tell you they got motherfucking nappy-head Mexicans with motherfucking chocolate skin. But they there. You pull up Afro-Mexican, you'll see them.
Right.
They ain't hard to find. But they want you to think that all of the Mexicans are the ones who mixed with the Chinese during the building of the railroads in the Southwest. We forgot about that. That's how come we got, all of us got Lee in our family. Bobby Lee, Jerry Lee, Arthur Lee, Harry Lee.
Talk that shit.
Right? That's because we made an agreement with the Chinese and them the motherfuckers that you call it Mexicans now.
Because they have Chinese, have niggas. Them locals. Them Patos.
Chinos.
Them Via Locals.
Chinos.
You did? All you gotta do is watch their swagger. You ought to know your people when you see them dance. Because don't nobody got that rhythm like we do.
Right,
Nobody.
right. I'm down here in Texas. I'm from Texas, so you know, the culture down here, I always tell people the culture down here, like we have a lot of Mexicans and they try to make it seem like it's Mexican culture, but most niggas in Texas don't know how to speak Spanish. We don't know nothing about Mexican culture because nigga culture overwhelms all of it. All of the Mexican culture was our culture. That's why we all eat tacos at home. You know, the dishes that's on the Mexican menu, we cook that shit at home. That's really our shit. And when you go to Mexico, these type of things not on the menu. I want to go into that conversation too because we know about the Colombia connection when they came over the
city in Nova Scotia to this day, that is her descendants. They've been there by order of Big Mama, the highest matriarch on the land at the time, gave them permission to settle Nova Scotia. Then Scottish children, we call them hillbillies, they live off in the hills. They like to wear them plaid shirts. Them good old boys, toilet tossing and shit. Them was the children of Scotta, and they were some of our strongest military. See, those alliances was made long before they was kicked out of Europe.
Right. You know, you had the Scottish, that Stuart family. Earlier you was talking about the Tudors. When the Tudors died, which would be Queen Elizabeth I, that she entered the House of Tudors.
They're not the real Tudors.
But they was melanated though. Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, you talking about the melanated one?
Yeah. You know, I'm talking about the melanated one because she bring in King James of the Bible, James Stewart. That's how he started the Stewart family. That was a cousin because she ain't had no kids. His family, they gonna uphold the Catholic part, and so I know you're familiar with the Jacobites. So when Duke of York, when James Duke of York got the crown, he also was a melanated. They gonna end it running of the melanated kings in that era right there. But these niggas that's gonna come over here, they stayed loyal to the Catholic crown. The people, a lot of them that defended them, they brought them out of Ireland and brought them back to Jamaica.
The Pope worked for. The Pope worked for the black nobility. He was installed by Emperor Constantine, who was one of the black nobility. And the Nicene Council was full of the motherfucking priests that they had captured. So the Pope been all of the papal bulls, the black nobility is telling him what to decree in the name of God and all that bullshit. Right? So the Catholic Church sanction comes from the Tudors and several of those families. I know the Tudors is one, but they stay hidden. They don't want to be seen, so they use the Queen Elizabeth and Princess Charles and all of them motherfuckers. They use them to keep the cover up, the appearance up, while they hide in the background. That's what made the pale faces was doing blackface to tell us that it was black was behind the white face. And it wasn't until Frantz Fanon wrote Black Skin, White Mask that I understand what they were saying.
Hey, let me ask you this, OG. Are you familiar with soul food actually being Indian cuisine, American Indian? If you look it up,
I love being under my mama and daddy.
That was deep right there. Was there a
ass out for cussing you out for I stay out, but my son and your son is still so. They start
make mockery of us because our women love to nurture their family, their husbands, their children, their nieces, their nephews. And then we make agreements every generation that if me and you as the elders got a problem, we not involved in the kids.
Not at all.
Kids don't got nothing to do with this. Me and you can fall all the way out, but my son and your son is still cousins, and I'm still gonna come pick your motherfucking son up, cut your ass out on my way to take them low roller skating together.
You feel me?
And then when I bring you back, you gonna cuss my motherfucking ass out for cussing you out before I left.
And probably borrow some money.
And guess what? The kids gonna look at us like they always at it. And they gonna still be jammed. We lost that concept when the invaders came.
Pop that shit, huh? That was deep right there. Was there a spiritual system that we practice here? Look at Kim.
Yeah, everything we did was part of our spiritual system. We believe that everything that we do it by the grace of the Creator giving us the will to perform in our life. So we show gratitude all day in performing to our highest capability what Big Mama endowed in us as the creator of who we are. So our every form of worship was our form of worship. When the women cooked, that was one of their rituals. House cleaning was their way to create the environment to make their family love being at home. I love being under my mama and daddy, right? I like nights with the family. I have to, that the love, the energy is created by us doing the thing that we love freely from the heart without any strings attached. Mm-hmm. And then when the family feel that energy and they return it back, this creates strong family bonds. The invaders' mission was to tear that apart, and they had a hell of a time doing it.
You always, I hear you often speak about Big Mama, and we under Big Mama in that same fashion. What is the importance of Big Mama, and why we only see Big Mama here in the American culture? Why we don't? Really
well, they call them something different around the world, right? So the crone is the European Big Mama in the family of those who practice North and Olderness ways, right? The lady that you see on with Tweety Bird that they call Granny, that's the Big Mama. Right. That's a Big Mama, the European Big Mama. And she got to get her status the same way any other Big Mama do. Right? Most loved, most respected, and family first. And if she's a Big Mama to the community, that's because the community raised her to that level by their love and respect. Because what we're seeing in her is the reflection of the Creator. Because we recognize what we call black as the backdrop to space is the triple darkness of the uterus of the Great Mother. We are.
Wow, Allie, you're obsessed with Olive Garden's tender braised beef tortellini.
The lady with the blanket, Big Mama with the blanket. She give everybody a blanket, and that's how she get them their blessing. She blessed them into the family. Big Mama gave you a blanket. So you got all these different things around the world. In Hawaii, it's the lady with the big grass skirt, right? So it's all over the world. The concept is the same because tribal structures was the same around the world. We was all matriarchal at one time because Earth is a feminine planet. Yeah. And because Earth is a feminine planet, the mitochondrial link to the women, Earth can directly communicate to them, and Earth gets direct messages from the father, which is the sun, which is the UV rays, UVAs. Shout out to Brother Kalai. Everybody, if y'all could give a shout out to Brother Kalai Amun, who'll be dropping that thing on the. Hey, you can get him on here. You need to get him on here to talk about the prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells to get the people up to speed on how these UVBs and UVAs are starting to affect the changes in the cell at the cellular level. And he also monitors the Schumann resonance, which is the frequency of the earth. So this is giving you an understanding of the changes that we're going through universally, so you can understand what's going on personally. So you definitely need to give him on here and give him questions. For sure. Yeah, I'm down with that. We'll put it together. Okay. Yeah, anyway, but back to the show. I'm passing back to you to ask another question. All right, now I wanted to ask you, thinking about Hawaii and people coming from the Pacific side, who are we closer to, or the indigenous Americans? Ancient, who do we have an ancient connection with? We got ancient connections because we intermarried all over the world with the original tribes. They said, like, the highest ranked king over here, all of the other tribal leaders around the world would send him wide as recognition and honor. And that's how he built his dynasty. Bloodline. Right? And he developed his culture within that framework. So you rising up from the dirt, but the stars tell when you're going to be born, and all of the chiefs instinctually know that you're here. So we got a strong Polynesian connection that may be stronger than our African connection. Yeah. And that would surprise a lot of people. Right. We got a lot of more closely related to the Polynesians as Aboriginals than we are to the Africans. Polynesian was but when you get over on the east side of the continent, South America and North America, you find we've been doing trade with Africa for thousands of years. And we was also intermarrying between tribes, right? All of that stuff you see, the Miss America pageant, that was us. They took our shit and monetized it, commercialized it, and turned it into a business. We used to teach our girls gymnastics, not as a sport, but as a way to harness that fiery shakti of the woman, the female that's more high strung. And we use the same thing with the swimming. The water tribes use the swimming. The skywalkers, they use the certain parts of the gymnastics. In the trapezes and tightrope walking and shit. That's all ancient culture that they appropriating for wealth. They told us that wrestling go back to Greece. That's bullshit. We've been wrestling and boxing. You can see it in the hieroglyphics. And the hieroglyphics ain't even old. This shit over here is the old shit. Where's the original shit? the temple of Quetzalcoatl, right? The pyramid of Teotihuacan. That's the original places of Earth people's congregation. And that was the ceremony for the Great Thunderbird. And the Great Thunderbird returned.
Speaking of that Great Thunderbird, they down there, the Mississippians, they honored the Falcon, the Peregrine Falcon down there. You get the Atlanta Falcons now. And they myth about this big Thunderbird that used to fly over them and scare the kids. They found it at Etowah down there in the mountains in Cartersville in Georgia, where they say the mines are down there. They found these motifs all up and down the mountains in the Mississippi as well, going through the Ohio River Valley and that mountain system up there as well. You know what, OG, we've been visiting the mounds. We actually got a mound trip coming up. We're going to go to Alabama, the Tocoloco mounds out there. One of the spiritual mounds, one of the most spiritual mounds out there. We also going to Sheeha, the highest point in Alabama. It's where the creeks was at. There was the Red Sticks at this time before they lost their battle in 1815. They moved over into Florida and joined that revolution over there. But we going out there to go tap in with them.
Hey, the ancestors gonna have you go everywhere on the land that your bloodline say you're supposed to touch before you recognize who you are yourself.
Lord,
you might think you know until you hit these key ley line points, and then it's gonna be like somebody hit you with them titles in the emergency room, and you're gonna get a joke.
And then what happened?
And you're gonna be, holy shit! I thought I knew who I was, but I didn't know that's who I was.
Man, that's why I've been going. Man, you know what? It's crazy because I had just told somebody, man, I feel like all these places that we going to, nigga, been there already. We've been to the Serpent Mounds in Ohio. We've been to Okmulgee Mounds down there in Macon, Georgia. We've been to Arizona. We went down there to Arizona to go tap in the Grand Canyon Montezuma Castle. We've been on the road, and then we finna hit up Alabama. So that's crazy you say that, because I was just thinking that, you know what I'm saying? I had just told somebody that, man, so like nigga been here with us.
Yeah, you did this before, Chief. This ain't your first rodeo.
Nah, turn up.
It's just that now this is the one that we all get to celebrate.
Hey man, that's crazy. Is it because what time? I know they say the calendars are wrong and off. What time are we in now that people are actually waking up, because they had this hold on us for so long, these other generations? What's up with like this time?
So first you gotta look at the infinity loop. We're in the center. Our consciousness, we're gonna snap to the fifth 5D consciousness, which is gonna break us out of the 3D lockdown. So it's a time frame that it all got to take place, but it's a galactic time frame. It's not an Earth time frame. So the time frame is difficult to know when it's going to be over. But the women, if they oracles, will start to hear dates play in their mind. And when they look at the alignment of the stars, you'll know what type of event. And then you take that, you go to the tarot reader, and she reads the energy with the cards. And then when she translates that, it should give you the exact day of a major event down to the description.
Hold on, OG, because it was a tarot reader and said they wanted you to come on here and they feel like that you had something for them. So can you run that back? Because that might be something for them right there.
Yeah, it definitely was. I was talking about the messages, the spirit messages. And when the spirit message comes in, the women can hear a date. And they'll be looking at that date. And when they go cross-reference it with the star map,
to see what's taking place on that date as far as planetary alignment. That's the astrologer. So then when you get the date and the energy of the event, you go to the tarot reader. And then the tarot reader will read the card, and it's almost like she can take the energy in, and the cards is like alphabet, and they'll tell the story accurate down to the day and a description of the event.
Hey, they use that powerful. I got one more question for you, then we'll go to the question from the chat.
Okay.
All right, I talked to this guy named Horace Butler. He wrote a book called When Rocks Cried. And he told me something that stuck with me. He said that over here in America, we created the Olympics. What's your thoughts on that and that connection? Because I heard you bring up the wrestling and how we created the wrestling and boxing and they took that from us. So that's what brought that question right there to mind. The connection between the Americans and the Olympics. I mean, we are the coldest in the sports and everything, so it would be hard to face it somewhere else.
All of these sports, the reason why there's so many indigenous iconography is because these are sports that we already played. The rules might have been different, but we already played these sports. As far as the Olympics itself, we gave it to Egypt, they gave it to Greece, and Greece named it the Olympics. It wasn't always the Olympics. But what the purpose was to, for every nation on the planet to develop their youth into different skill sets. Some would be fighters, some would be boaters, speed rowers, some would be ice skaters. So you would always get all of the kids, the youth, the opportunity to present their skill set before the largest audience in the world. That's the original purpose was. If you go to Mexico, where they used to have what they call death tournaments, look at the size of the arena, and those are older than the Colosseum of Greece.
Boy, you know what? I actually been there. I went down there to in the Yucatan, and I went there. And you know what he told me though, OG? He told me the same thing you just said. He said down there in Mexico, they still got the fields down there.
Yeah, they're too big to hide. So they hide it in plain sight. They just tell you a lie about what it was. They say they built it. See, we put this here for this person. Motherfucker, you ain't put that here. You wasn't even here yet.
Right. What about the Mardi Gras? The Mardi Gras.
Those are ancestral celebrations and harvest synchronization. So Halloween is a pumpkin harvest festival in recognition of the earth going into the winter season, which is the season the earth is dead. Just as the seasons of a man's life, right? So when Thanksgiving came, that was the great harvest. And Big Mama always cooked the chief a turkey. So on Black Friday, they slaughtered us because we were smoking trees, drinking alcohol with foreigners, and eating a bunch of tryptophan. So we was out cold. They was eating on motherfucking cows and shit. You know, they didn't eat what we ate and drink what we drunk. We celebrate when we party hardy. But we wasn't paying that no attention. So when we went to sleep, they slaughtered us by night. That's why it's Black Friday.
That's deep. I want to take 2 questions from the audience, if that's cool with you.
Let's go.
All right, I got one right here. Hey, what dog is that, man? This is my Goose Creek homie, man, coming out of South Carolina. You familiar with Goose Creek down there?
No.
Right outside of Charleston. You had the Goose Creek men come here from Barbados and Jamaica. They got their charter in 1621, and
During Mattress Warehouse.
Catz and the Irish over. They lost the Civil War. They started sending them there. They hooked up with the Jews in out of Brazil. When they put it down in Jamaica, they came in South Carolina, built their colony down there. That's what set up that. So getting credit to them Indians out there, them niggas, them Jews brought their credit to them Indians out there, started the Jamaican War in 1715. But he said, ask Roy Hayes, were we the Moors? Did we call ourselves Moors? Hell no. Dog, you brought it on yourself. Is it cool if I let him up? Yeah, let him on here. Alright, hey, Darvis, hey, y'all, don't nobody move the Darvis, man. Let Darvis. Darvis, I told you, I got you, family. Yeah, this is Goose Creek. He don't want to believe, well, he say he is from Europe. He say he is, the people that came from Europe. He the black people that came from Europe. They robbed the Indians.
Yeah, he was a conquistador, Blackamoor. He was free white people in love.
Yeah, nah, you're right. That's exactly what he told us. Yeah. Hey, Darvis, go come on up, bro, for while we got the OG in here. Hey, while Darvis, we'll take another question from the audience. If anybody out there got
over here, but they didn't run shit over here. Everybody sent somebody over here at some point in history, but this was not a community that the Moors is 1,200 years old. I mean, 800 years old. The word Moor is an 800-year-old word.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm asking you was, was there ever anybody over here that called themselves Moors? Or does people over here ever call themselves? You said no.
The investors came over here. Once the investors came over here, we had Moors on the land.
All right. So that's what you're saying. That's cool.
What do you have a time frame when you saying do you disagree with it?
Look, the Europeans ousted the Moors from Spain, and that was around 1411. They said Columbus got over here in 1492. They didn't finish exiling until about 1522. When they exiled them, they sent them to Northwest Africa that was called Al-Maghrib. And Al-Maghrib is where they came over here from when they began to invade as conquistadors. Blackamoor conquistadors. That's when they started coming over here.
And I was listening to the bill earlier, man. You seen, I like the bill. I'll say that, man. But I gotta disagree with that Moors thing, though.
Oh, you have absolutely right.
You know what I mean? Because you gotta remember now, when they got kicked out of that place to go Al-Andalus or Spain, they left. They had to go back home. They were running from the Catholics and dealing with the Inquisition. All right, when they went back home, a lot of them boys came here to the Americas. So they went back home. Where they were from. They were doing trade here.
Go back and look it up. Al-Maghrib. Al-Maghrib.
I know a lot of went down. A lot of went down. Hold
up, let him get it out.
That's where they sent them to first. But at the time they was exiling them to Al-Maghrib, the black nobility was sending scouts out for places for them to go over here. That's what brought Columbus and Pietro de Negro to the land. They was coming, scout the land out
for the Moors' conquest. It's in the writings of motherfucking Christopher Columbus when he was talking about how motherfucking simple it was going to be to conquer these people. He came as the investigators for the Moors. But when you read they came before Columbus, you'll realize that they had sent infiltrators way earlier.
All right, cool. Listen, I don't agree with that, and I really disagree because, like I said, I got other sources that prove otherwise. Okay. And that's something when you get into, I don't want to disrupt you on your bill or whatnot. See, Top Cat threw me up there because he knew that I'm a Moor. Look, and he want, you know, he want me to say private or whatnot. No, man, and I'm not gonna do that.
You cool. You cool. I don't got no problem with you being a Moor. But while you see these people reclaiming the land, you can continue to be a Moor, but don't get in the way.
No, I cool. Listen, I follow you. The whole time, y'all misunderstand me. All right, at one time, we called ourselves Moors. We was a part of this empire and then trade throughout the world at one point in time. Before that, we was something else. After that, we was something else. But at one time, we did consider ourselves as Moors. There's acts passed through Congress, there's treaties and all that was written there. Listen, and if you're a historian, you have to recognize it. If you don't recognize it, that means you must have some kind of issue with the Moors. That you gotta have some kind of.
Listen, all this Moorish shit is not 500 years old. Period. What? All this Moorish shit.
Don't say that. All right, don't say that, man.
Is 500 years old.
King, don't say that, man.
All right, dog. Appreciate
that right that had it in there.
Appreciate your question.
Babowski wrote about it. You know what? Go ahead with the bill, King. I'm gonna cut the bill.
All right, man. You can drop back down. We're gonna close that. Appreciate you coming through, though. Appreciate your question, man.
Peace, God.
All right, y'all. We got Superior Mind. I'm gonna drop the link down there for Superior Mind. This is gonna be the last one. All right, pull up Superior. If you got your question ready.
Always been taught that the enemy looked at like paleface. I never knew that the kinds of war between us was for one of us to know which side of the water we originate from and where they came from to get here. This is in the George Washington Challenge, right? Then they have the secret oath. All of these are documents you can find. The secret oath goes through all of the shit they was gonna do to us. The government is ran according to a book called The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. This is the principles of oppression that is the doctrine of white supremacy. It's a military strategy to use the Catz to conceal who the real power players is by giving you Plato's Republic played out in a stage show. So we had to become educated enough where we surpassed them in knowledge so that we can realize that we was already here. We didn't come on ships. We organic to the land, and we wore feathers, and the invaders, conquistadors, blackamoors, the black nobility came after exile, they wore feathers and turbans. So now we over here in a perpetual, what they call protracted struggle to remember who in the fuck we are. And I'm here to remind us that we wore feathers, they wore feathers, we won, they lost, they have to leave, and we cool.
Yes, sir, absolutely, but it's fire. But that's some clarification. Like I said, that's some things you drop spiritually that I catch personally, and I know that you can only get them. You have to be in touch with some sort of higher master teaching. It's not coming from a physical man. So when I say that, I'm saying two people can look at a document, right, at the same document, and what one person gets from reading that, they gonna see one thing, but then the spiritual eye is gonna see the same thing that the physical eye sees, but then be able to tie that to the presence of a being, a realized sentient being
that's another level of it. So when I heard you speak again on the conjure war, and then just some of the things you were saying, I said, okay, you know, you came on the show, I said, I was going to ask Top, man, can you go a little bit into that so that the family could get an understanding that it is a war of words. And the book, the Bible is good and it's bad. It's a gift and a curse, but you have to have the eyes to see it because it's coded like that. Everything they do on this continent right here is in there, but you have to go through so many sources and layers to get to it, and you have to be willing to have a spiritual eye. If you ever try to approach it like that physically, you'll miss it, right? I heard you say cat's paw. So what I've understood the cat's paw is the same thing as the lion's grip. You know, that it's the same presentation when a brother, in the brotherhood, they meet a brother. So the cat's paw, but then that's even looking at jaguar, the ancient culture of Mesoamerica, the jaguar, and the science behind the jaguar.
The jaguar is in over here is the same as the leopard in Africa, in the Far East India. And the jaguars are the pelts that the priests wear to identify them clearly among the people when they in traditional native garb. Where you have the stealth priests, these are warrior priests. They use conjure wars, they wear the Black Panther pelt because they are a war priest. So the priesthood is broke up into functions and functionality. The jaguar priests are the ones that deal with the most social issues. The stealth priests are the ones who deal with the spiritual warfare aspect. And when the spiritual warfare becomes physical, they are the advisors to the chiefs on how to approach warfare. So Tupac gives you the flip Machiavelli. Machiavelli was the advisor to the Medici, and he wrote The Prince. So Tupac becomes the advisor, Panther priest, to one that he's saying, we need guerrilla tactics. When you call for guerrilla tactics, you call for the next guerrilla clan to come in behind the Panther clan. They show it in Black Panther, the movie. The guerrilla clan don't want to be the clan to rule, but before they let these foreigners rule, they take the power. The gorilla grip is the master grip. The lion's paw is the master grip, but when you say cat's paw, you're saying something different. A cat's paw is you use somebody to do your dirt so that you can't do things for the dirt you do. And that was the great con game they was using on us. While they was using their understanding of the stars to map when we was coming back so they could murder us, we didn't know this was taking place. And
a new Planet Fitness is you can join for just $15 a month. Cancel anytime. We're talking the clean and spacious.